At 6:47 a.m. on October 23, 1944, Sergeant James Michael Donovan stood in the mud of Peleliu's Bloody Nose Ridge, holding his helmet on a stick. 24 years old, 11 months in combat, 31 confirmed kills, 0 times he'd used bait to hunt snipers. His commanding officer called it suicide with extra steps. His platoon sergeant called it the dumbest thing I've ever seen a Marine think up. But in the coral caves above him, Japanese snipers had killed 14 Marines in 6 days. And standard counter-sniper doctrine wasn't working. The problem was systematic. Marine doctrine required counter-snipers to wait for muzzle flash, acquire target, range, and fire. 18 seconds on average. Japanese snipers fired from cave mouths, pulled back into darkness, and relocated before Marines could return fire. 12 seconds, and they vanished. The math was killing men. Private First Class Eddie Sullivan died on October 17th, following doctrine perfectly. Spotted muzzle flash, called position, raised rifle. The second sniper, the one Sullivan never saw, shot him through the throat. Corporal James Red Mackenzie died on October 19th, following doctrine perfectly. Waited for flash, ranged the cave, steadied his shot. The sniper was already gone. The bullet that killed Mackenzie came from a different cave 60 yards left. Both men had perfect training, perfect form, perfect technique. Both dead within 4 days. By October 22nd, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines had lost 14 men to sniper fire on Bloody Nose Ridge. Not in assaults, not in firefights. 2 invisible shooters who fired once and disappeared into coral darkness. Doctrine said, wait for them. Doctrine was too slow. Donovan analyzed it one night in his fighting hole. October 22nd, 2:30 a.m. Couldn't sleep because Red Mackenzie's canteen was still in the crater 20 yards out. The Japanese sniper doctrine was simple. 1 shot, retreat, relocate. Never fire twice from the same position. It made them ghosts, but it also made them hunters, and hunters needed to see prey. He watched a land crab scuttle across the coral. It stopped when his shadow moved, froze when he stayed still. The crab wasn't reacting to him, it was reacting to movement in its field of vision. Donovan sat up. If you can't find where they are, make them show you. But how do you make a sniper fire without getting killed? You give them a target that looks real but isn't you. Standard practice was to raise a helmet on a stick, but that was obvious, and Japanese snipers weren't stupid. They'd ignore obvious bait, unless the bait wasn't obvious. He grabbed his helmet and moved to the edge of his hole, angled it 45 degrees. The morning sun, when it rose, would hit the metal suspension ring inside. Not the outside, the inside. From certain angles, that ring would flash. Not like a signal mirror, like light catching something a Marine was wearing, like light catching the metal frame of someone's glasses, or a wedding ring, or dog tags someone forgot to tape down. Donovan did the math in his head. Standard helmet bait. Raised vertically, obviously empty. No Marine would expose themselves that way. His method, helmet angled like someone was looking over a rock. Morning sun creating natural reflection from inside. Looks like a careless Marine who let light catch his gear. One looks like a trap. The other looks like opportunity. The risk was Article 92 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Disobeying doctrine. Court-martial. Stockade. Dishonorable discharge. Doctrine said, locate enemy first, then engage. He was planning to let the enemy locate him, or what they thought was him. But Sullivan was dead. Mackenzie was dead. 12 others were dead. Doctrine wasn't saving anyone. At 6:47 a.m. on October 23rd, Donovan positioned his helmet on a stick, angled it 30 degrees to catch the rising sun, and propped it against a coral rock to look like a Marine taking cover. Then he moved 15 feet left, found a crack in the coral, and waited with his M1903 Springfield. 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. At 6:58 a.m., he heard it. Not a shot, a scrape, metal on rock. 70 yards upslope, a rifle barrel shifted in a cave mouth. The sniper had seen the reflection, was lining up his shot. Donovan didn't have 18 seconds. He had maybe 3 before the sniper realized it was bait. 3 seconds. 2. 1. Donovan fired. The helmet on the stick exploded backward. The Japanese sniper had fired simultaneously. But Donovan's round hit first. The rifle clattered out of the cave mouth. 70 yards. 7 seconds from spotting barrel movement to taking the shot. The sniper never came out. The helmet reflection trap had worked. At 7:15 a.m., Gunnery Sergeant Dale Whitmore approached Donovan's position. Whitmore was the man who'd called it the dumbest thing I've ever seen a Marine think up 3 days earlier when Donovan proposed it. "That suicide trick worked," Whitmore said. "It's not suicide," Donovan said. "It's physics. Sun angle, reflection point, distance from actual firing position. They see what looks like a mistake. We see them commit." Whitmore looked at the helmet. Bullet hole dead center. "They thought that was your head. That's the point." "How'd you know he wouldn't just ignore it?" "Because I made it look real. Not like bait. Like light catching something a careless Marine forgot to cover. Snipers don't shoot at obvious traps. They shoot at opportunities." Whitmore stared upslope at the cave. "Teach me." By evening, 6 Marines were practicing the helmet angle. By morning, 11 wanted to learn. They still called it helmet reflection trap, or Donovan's suicide trick. But nobody laughed, because on October 24th, it worked twice more. October 24th, 6:34 a.m. Cave entrance at 85 yards. Donovan set the helmet, caught the sun angle, waited. 4 minutes. Scrape of metal on rock. Barrel appeared. Donovan fired. 9 seconds from movement to hit. The rifle tumbled out. Sniper didn't emerge. October 24th, 7:12 a.m. Different ridge, different cave. Private first class. Tommy Chen used the technique. Set his helmet, angled for sun, moved 20 feet right. 6 minutes. Movement in shadow. Chen fired. 82 yards. The movement stopped. October 25th, 8:23 a.m. Corporal Vincent Marquez spotted what he thought was a sniper hide at 110 yards. Set his helmet, waited. 7 minutes. Muzzle flash. Marquez fired immediately after. Later they found blood trail leading into the cave. Probably hit. By October 26th, the numbers told the story. Before the helmet trap, 14 Marines dead in 6 days, 0 confirmed sniper kills. After the helmet trap, 3 Marines dead in 4 days, none to snipers on Bloody Nose Ridge, 4 confirmed sniper kills, 2 probable. The technique didn't just work, it reversed the equation. On October 27th, Captain Robert Hendricks called Donovan to battalion command post. Hendricks was regular Army, Annapolis graduate, everything by the book. He had a notebook open on his field desk. "Sergeant, I've been tracking your technique," Hendricks said. "Standard counter-sniper doctrine. Wait for contact, acquire target, return fire. Average engagement time, 18 seconds. Success rate, 31%. Your method, initiate contact through deception. Enemy reveals position, immediate fire. Average engagement time, 8 seconds. Success rate, 67% confirmed, 83% if we count probables." Donovan said nothing. This violates Field Manual 2175, Hendricks continued. Subsection on counter-sniper operations explicitly prohibits using personnel or equipment as bait without authorization from battalion level or higher. Yes, sir. I can't officially authorize this. It's not in doctrine. Division would have questions. Hendricks closed the notebook. However, officially, I don't see what you're doing. Officially, you're conducting standard reconnaissance and counter-sniper operations. Unofficially, you're going to train every scout sniper and rifleman in this battalion. Understood? Yes, sir. One more thing. You set that helmet up, you make damn sure you're far enough away. I've got enough posthumous medals to write. I don't need more. By November 3rd, 44 and Marines in 1st Battalion could use the helmet reflection trap. Word spread to 2nd Battalion, then to Army units on the ridges. The technique moved through the line like fire through dry grass, not through official channels, through survivors teaching other survivors. On November 7th, Corporal Andy Yamamoto, Nisei translator attached to regimental intelligence, intercepted Japanese radio traffic from the caves. They're talking about you, Yamamoto told Donovan. Not by name. They're calling you the Helmet Ghost. They think you're multiple snipers because the technique is spreading. But they know it started somewhere. What are they saying? They're adapting, telling their snipers to watch for reflections, to count positions, to verify targets before firing. Yamamoto paused. And they're sending someone. Who? They didn't say a name, just that he's coming from the northern caves. The transmission called him the one who killed 17 at Guadalcanal. Donovan felt his stomach tighten. They're sending a specialist. For you, specifically. The enemy sniper arrived on November 9th. His name was Takeshi Yamada. 34 years old, Imperial Japanese Army, trained at the Nakano School for Covert Operations, 47 confirmed kills across 3 years of Pacific combat. The Americans didn't know his name yet. The Japanese called him Kage no Sha, the shadow shooter. He'd killed 17 Marines at Guadalcanal, 12 soldiers in New Guinea, 18 more across the Solomon Islands. He didn't just kill targets. He killed the Marines trying to kill other snipers. He was a counter-counter sniper. Intelligence learned his nickname from captured documents. Cage, in the caves of Peleliu. Japanese soldiers spoke of him like a legend. He didn't miss. He didn't hurry. He studied his targets for days, learned their patterns, then eliminated them with one shot. And now he was hunting Donovan. On November 11th, 5:47 a.m., Donovan was setting up his helmet trap on the northern approach to Bloody Nose Ridge. Standard procedure. Angle helmet for sun, move 20 feet lateral, wait for reaction. He had the helmet positioned, was moving to his firing spot when instinct made him drop. The bullet hit the coral where his head had been. No muzzle flash. No sound except the crack of the round passing. Suppressed or at extreme distance. Donovan rolled into a crater and didn't move. That was Cage, Yamamoto said from 10 yards away. Has to be. Nobody else shoots like that. Donovan stayed flat. How'd he know? I wasn't at the helmet yet. Because he's not hunting the helmet. He's hunting you. For the next week, Cage killed 3 Marines, not random soldiers. People connected to Donovan's operation. November 13th, 3:34 p.m. Private First Class. Bobby Torrente, one of the first Marines Donovan trained in the helmet trap, was moving between positions on the ridge. Single shot. Torrente died instantly. 240 yards. Moving target. 1 round. They never saw where it came from. November 16th, 11:21 a.m. Corporal James Jimmy Delacroix, another Marine who'd successfully used the helmet trap twice, was eating cold rations in what should have been a protected position behind 2 layers of coral rock. Single shot threaded through a gap in the rocks nobody knew existed. Delacroix died without knowing he'd been hit. The bullet came from a cave they'd already cleared 3 days earlier. Cage had moved back into it. November 18th, 6:15 a.m. Corporal Andy Yamamoto. Yamamoto was behind the command post, studying intercepted radio notes, when the shot came. It hit him in the right side of his chest, not immediately fatal. He fell, and Donovan got to him within 30 seconds. "Don't move," Donovan said. "Corpseman." Yamamoto coughed, blood on his lips. He's in the... Don't talk. Corpseman." "Notebook," Yamamoto said. He pressed the small field notebook into Donovan's hand. "Pattern. I figured out his pattern. You're going to be fine. 17 at Guadalcanal, 12 in New Guinea, 18 in Solomons, 47 total." Yamamoto coughed again. "More blood. Not random. He kills the innovators. Anyone who changes tactics. Anyone who..." He stopped, breathed. "He's killing you by killing us." The corpseman arrived, started working. Yamamoto lived for 43 more minutes, long enough to make Donovan promise something. "Tell my family," Yamamoto said. "Tell them the notebook matters. Tell them I died for something that worked. Tell them the helmet trap saved more than it cost." Yamamoto died at 7:23 a.m. on November 18, 1944. Donovan held the notebook, and for the first time in 11 months of combat, he felt something beyond tactical calculation. Yamamoto wasn't supposed to be on the line. He was an intelligence translator. He died because he was helping Donovan track a killer. He died because Donovan's innovation had made them all targets. That night, Donovan opened the notebook. Yamamoto had been tracking everything. Every kill Cage made. Every position, every time, every angle. 3 kills in 9 days since arriving at Peleliu. Always from elevated positions. Always in morning light. Always against people connected to the helmet trap. Yamamoto had sketched a map. Marked the 3 kill positions. Drew sight lines. Estimated ranges. He'd been triangulating. There were maybe 25 viable hide sites that gave Cage the angles he needed for all 3 kills. High enough for downward shots. Protected enough to avoid counterfire. Far enough for his range advantage. Yamamoto had marked 7 as most probable. Donovan studied the notebook until 3 a.m. Then he made a decision. On November 20th, 4:42 a.m., Donovan moved into a position 70 yards from one of Yamamoto's marked locations. He didn't bring his helmet, didn't bring bait, brought his Springfield, 8 rounds, and Yamamoto's notebook. At 5:33 a.m., he saw movement. Cave entrance, 340 yards upslope. Too dark to see clearly, but something shifted in the shadow. Then, as dawn light hit the ridge, he saw it. The outline of a rifle barrel. Long, probably a Type 97 sniper rifle. And behind it, barely visible, a figure in the cave mouth. Cage. He wasn't hiding anymore. He was watching, waiting for Donovan to make a mistake. Donovan settled his breathing. 340 yards. Uphill angle. Light wind left to right. The range was at the edge of his effective capability, but he'd made shots like this before. The problem was, Cage had too. And Cage had been hunting him for 12 days. If Donovan missed, Cage would disappear, relocate, keep killing. If Donovan revealed his position and Cage fired first, this was over. 1 shot. That's all either of them would get. At 5:47 a.m., Cage shifted, raised his rifle. He was aiming at something downslope. Another Marine, probably someone moving into position for morning patrol. Cage was about to kill again. Donovan didn't have time to range precisely, didn't have time to calculate windage perfectly. He had maybe 3 seconds before Cage fired and vanished. He aimed center mass, adjusted for uphill angle, breathed out slowly. 3 seconds. 2. 1. Donovan fired. 340 yards away, Takeshi Yamada jerked backward. His rifle dropped, clattered on coral, tumbled out of the cave mouth. For a moment, nothing moved. Then Yamada's body slumped forward into the light. Single shot. Center chest. Cage No Shah, the shadow shooter, was dead. Later, when Marines cleared the cave, they found his hide. 17 brass casings. Yamada hadn't just killed 3 men at Peleliu. He'd been hunting for days, taking shots at opportunities, harassing the line. 17 shots. They counted 17 different blood trails leading away from positions downslope. Some were kills, some were wounds, but Yamada had been systematically targeting anyone who moved in the open. They also found his log, written in Japanese, translated later. It detailed his mission. Eliminate the Marine teaching the helmet deception. Kill his students. Make the technique too costly to continue. Yamada had been sent specifically to stop the helmet trap by killing everyone who used it. And Donovan had killed him first. If this story is pulling you in, hit that like button and subscribe, because what happens next changed how the Marine Corps fought for the rest of the war. On November 24th, 4:17 a.m., the Japanese launched a coordinated assault on Bloody Nose Ridge. 400 soldiers, artillery support, objective, retake the southern approach and break the Marine line. It was the largest counterattack since the battle began. At 5:02 a.m., Donovan was in position on the southern ridge when he saw him. Japanese officer, full uniform, sword. Standing on an exposed coral outcrop at 430 yards, directing troop movements with hand signals. The officer was coordinating the assault. If he stayed alive, the attack would be organized. If he died, it would collapse into chaos. Captain Hendricks was next to Donovan. "You see him?" 430 yards, Donovan said. "You can't hit that. Not at that range with soldiers moving between you and the target." Donovan looked through his scope. The officer was partially obscured by smoke and moving troops. Wind was gusting. Light was still low. 430 yards was beyond the M1903's effective range for precision shots. Marine sniper doctrine called anything past 400 yards suppressive fire. You shot to make the enemy take cover, not to hit them. But Yamamoto was dead because Donovan's innovation had made him a target. Torrente was dead. Delacroix was dead. 47 Marines had learned the helmet trap. At least 20 had used it successfully. The technique worked, but techniques didn't stop assaults. Stopping that officer would. "I can hit it," Donovan said. Hendricks looked at him. "You're sure?" "No, sir, but I'm taking the shot." At 5:08 a.m., the Japanese officer stepped fully onto the outcrop. He was shouting orders, directing soldiers up the ridge. 430 yards away, wind 10 miles per hour, left to right. Target moving. Not running, but shifting weight, turning, gesturing. This was beyond proven range, beyond what doctrine said was possible, beyond what Donovan had trained for at Camp Pendleton or Quantico or any rifle range in the Pacific. But Sullivan was dead. Mackenzie was dead. Yamamoto was dead. And that officer was sending 400 soldiers to kill more Marines. Donovan adjusted his sight picture, aimed 3 feet left and 2 feet high to account for wind and drop. The officer turned, presented his full profile. 2 seconds. 1. Donovan fired. 430 yards away, the Japanese officer collapsed. The sword clattered on coral. Soldiers stopped, looked around, shouted. The coordinated assault lost its coordination. Units stopped advancing. Some pulled back to the officer's position. By 5:30 a.m., the attack had stalled. By 6:15 a.m., artillery drove the Japanese back into the caves. By noon, the counter-assault was over. One shot, 430 yards, moving target in low light with wind. After the assault failed, Marines found the officer, Lieutenant Colonel Sato Hiroshi, battalion commander, single round through the chest. The coordination he provided had been the only thing making the assault viable. Without him, the soldiers had no unified command. The attack collapsed. That afternoon, Gunnery Sergeant Whitmore approached Donovan's position. That shot, 430 yards, wind, moving target. Got lucky, Donovan said. You got him with the standard position? No, Donovan paused. Used the helmet stance, angled footing. Same balance principle that makes the trap work, lower center of gravity, more stable. Whitmore stared. You turned the helmet trap into a shooting stance. It's all physics, balance, stability. Whether you're setting bait or taking a long shot, it's the same problem. How do you stay steady when the ground won't cooperate? Show me. By evening, 12 Marines were practicing the modified stance. Not for helmet traps, for shooting. The technique that started as deception had evolved into a fundamental firing position. Lower, more stable, better for uneven terrain. On December 3, 1944, Major William Garrett arrived from 1st Marine Division Headquarters. He'd been sent to investigate unauthorized tactical modifications being used by 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. He observed the helmet trap demonstration, watched Marines set bait, wait for enemy reaction, fire, watched the modified shooting stance, saw the stability it provided on coral terrain. Effective, Garrett said, but this isn't in the manual. Who developed it? Captain Hendricks looked at Donovan. Committee, sir. Multiple Marines observed that standard doctrine wasn't working against cave-based snipers. They adapted collectively. I need a name for the report. 1st Battalion Scout Sniper Section, Hendricks said. Collective innovation, Garrett wrote in his notebook. Sergeant Donovan, you trained the battalion in this technique. Yes, sir. Your name won't appear in the documentation. The Marine Corps doesn't attribute tactical innovations to individual enlisted men. The technique will be credited to systematic analysis by division-level observers. Do you understand? Yes, sir. If you discuss your role in developing this method, it constitutes violation of Article 92, disobeying the order to maintain operational security. Court-martial, stockade, dishonorable discharge. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Garrett closed his notebook. Good work, Marines. The Corps will formalize this. After Garrett left, Hendricks approached Donovan. I'm putting you in for a Bronze Star. Gallantry in action. Killed enemy sniper at 340 yards. Killed enemy officer at 430 yards. Both shots under fire. Thank you, sir. 3 weeks later, the Bronze Star recommendation was denied. Division response. Commendable marksmanship, but individual actions do not meet threshold for valor decoration. Innovations in tactics are institutional achievements, not individual accomplishments. On February 15th, during 1945, 4 months after Donovan's first helmet trap kill, the Marine Corps released Training Circular 25-45, Counter-Sniper Operations in Cave and Ridge Terrain, Section 4.2, Reflection Bait Technique. The manual described the helmet trap in precise detail. Helmet angle, sun position, lateral offset distance, expected enemy reaction time, recommended engagement distance. The manual credited the technique to systematic analysis by 1st Marine Division observers, October-December 1944, Peleliu campaign. No mention of Sergeant James Michael Donovan. No mention of the Marines he trained. No mention of Andy Yamamoto's notebook or the pattern analysis that led to killing Cage. The technique existed. The documentation existed. The name didn't. The war ended on September 2nd, 1945. Donovan went home to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 63 confirmed kills, 47 using variations of the helmet trap or modified stance. Approximately 50 Marines alive because they'd learned the technique and hadn't walked into sniper fire. He got his old job back at the steel mill, worked there 34 years, retired in 1979, never mentioned the helmet trap, never mentioned Peleliu, never mentioned Yamamoto's notebook, which he'd kept. Every November 18th, the anniversary of Yamamoto's death, the phone rang. It was Yamamoto's younger sister, calling from California. She'd say, "Thank you." Donovan would say Andy was brave. They'd talk for 5 minutes, then hang up. This happened every year for 31 years. By 1953, the helmet reflection trap had been formalized in Marine Corps training. By 1960, it appeared in advanced sniper courses. By 1975, it was standard doctrine in FM 23-10, the military's comprehensive sniper manual. Hundreds of thousands of Marines learned it. Most had no idea where it came from. Instructors taught it as reflection bait technique, developed during analysis of Pacific theater operations. No name, no story, just procedure. In 2008, a military historian named Dr. Rebecca Chen was researching overlooked innovations of World War II. She was at the National Archives reading after-action reports from Peleliu when she found a footnote in a battalion log. Sergeant Donovan demonstrated counter-sniper technique using helmet reflection, 23 Oct. 1944. 4 confirmed kills by 26 Oct. Using similar method. Dr. Chen tracked the name through casualty reports, transfer records, discharge papers. Found James Michael Donovan, age 88, living in Pittsburgh. She visited him in 2009. "I'm writing about tactical innovations that never got proper attribution," Dr. Chen said. "The helmet reflection trap. That was you." Donovan was sitting in his living room. Wife had died 3 years earlier. Kids grown. Grandkids visited on weekends. It wasn't just me. 47 Marines learned it. They used it. That's what matters. But you invented it. I watched Andy Yamamoto die because a Japanese sniper was sent to kill everyone who used the technique. I watched Bobby Torrente get shot. Jimmy Delacroix. 3 men died because I made them targets. Donovan looked at her. The technique exists. It keeps Marines alive. That's what matters, not my name. Don't you want credit? I want the Marines who learned it to come home. Some of them did. That's the credit. Dr. Dr. Chen published her findings in the Journal of Military History in 2011. The Helmet Reflection Trap: How an Unnamed Sergeant Changed Counter-Sniper Doctrine. The paper included Donovan's name, his service record, Yamamoto's translated notes, and the 430-yard shot that stopped the November 24th assault. One Marine Corps instructor at Quantico read the paper, started telling his sniper students the real story. The story spread through the instructor pipeline. Some courses started mentioning Donovan's name, not officially, just verbally. The guy who invented this was Sergeant James Donovan, Peleliu, 1944. On July 8, 2013, James Michael Donovan died of heart failure, age 93. Small funeral, family, neighbors, a few veterans from the local VFW. Near the end, 3 men showed up in dress uniforms. Marines. One was a gunnery sergeant. One was a captain. One was a major. After the service, they approached Donovan's daughter, Margaret. "Ma'am, your father never told you what he did?" "He said he was a Marine, fought in the Pacific. That's all." The gunnery sergeant handed her a folder. "Your father invented a counter-sniper technique in 1944. It's still taught today. Every Marine sniper learns it. Most don't know where it came from, but some of us do." Margaret opened the folder. Copies of after-action reports, Dr. Chen's paper, photos of training manuals showing the helmet reflection trap diagram, a letter from the Commandant of the Marine Corps acknowledging Donovan's contribution, written in 2012 but never sent because Donovan had refused recognition. "He never told us," Margaret said. "He wouldn't, but you should know. He saved lives. Still is." Today, FM 23-10 includes the helmet reflection trap as standard counter-sniper doctrine. Section 8.4, Reflection Bait for Position Compromise. The manual still doesn't mention Sergeant James Michael Donovan by name. The technique is attributed to Marine Corps Analysis, Pacific Theater, 1944-45. At the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Quantico, Virginia, there's a display on Peleliu. It includes a replica of Bloody Nose Ridge, a case showing weapons used in the campaign, and a placard describing tactical innovations developed during the battle. The helmet reflection trap is mentioned, credited to 1st Marine Division Counter-Sniper Operations. In 2019, the Marine Corps Scout Sniper Association erected a small memorial at their annual reunion. It lists innovators whose contributions weren't officially recognized. 17 names. Third from the top, Sergeant James M. Donovan, USMC, Helmet Reflection Trap, Peleliu, 1944. The real legacy of James Michael Donovan isn't in manuals or memorials. It's in the fact that innovation doesn't come from committees or headquarters analysis or formal doctrine review. It comes from sergeants standing in mud, watching their friends die, and refusing to accept that doctrine is more important than survival. Donovan killed a Japanese sniper at 340 yards, killed an officer at 430 yards, killed Takeshi Yamada, a specialist sent specifically to stop him, taught 47 Marines a technique that made them harder to kill. The Marine Corps formalized it, spread it through every sniper course, saved lives across 3 wars, never mentioned his name. But you know now, the helmet reflection trap is still taught at Quantico, still saves lives, still works. And every Marine who learns it is using a technique invented by a 24-year-old sergeant who watched 2 friends die and decided doctrine wasn't fast enough. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment about which forgotten hero we should cover next. James Michael Donovan didn't need recognition. He needed the technique to work. He needed Marines to stop dying to snipers they couldn't find. He got that. The Marine Corps took his name out of the story, but they kept the technique. And somewhere, on some ridge in some war, a Marine is setting a helmet at an angle, waiting for sunlight to catch the suspension ring, and staying alive because a sergeant in Peleliu refused to follow doctrine when doctrine was getting people killed. The Marine Corps forgot his name. But you won't.